And welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I'm your host, Tim D-O-double-G. And tonight I'm joined by the man behind the sound effects for this evening at RowdyCat on Twitter.
Once again, Fuji. Yeah, it's almost about Tim was about to say Agent 7. I felt it. Felt it.
Had to give it that pause for that 1 second.
It's all good. It's all good.
So yes, Agent 70 is currently stuck at the office doing his 9-to-5 plus gig.
Or he's out fighting crime. One of the two. We don't know.
One of the two. And at PCN_Dirt is having some Windows update issues because those want to get pushed out this week. So he'll be joining us a little later once he's gotten that straightened out. But we want to remind you to go to our website, thekliqnation.com, where you can find previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles, comic book news, and reviews.
Oops. Have a finger on the wrong one.
It happens.
Yeah.
On the homepage, you'll find links to our social media accounts. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google+. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube, where you can watch the video stream of the podcast every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We are part of the Coast Little Podcast Network. Go to cspn.us. Do it today. And while you're there, buy some Comic Book Chronicles merchandise by going to shop.cspn.us.
Which there's a new bag I thought I saw. Is that?
I haven't got to the site in a while. I need to see if they've reloaded the shop.
Yeah, I thought I saw when the CSPN tweeted out the link last week. There was like a little duffel bag or something that was next to the picture. I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. I'm to check it out.
Definitely do that. And if you buy something, send us a picture of it.
Yeah, do that.
So, comic book reviews of the week. We're going to begin with a new #1 over at Marvel Comics, and that is Black Panther and the Crew #1.
To which I do not have the... I guess I should have put that up too, but I didn't. But
I'll get the cover.
Okay, cool. Mad because my shop didn't have the hip-hop cover because I didn't get it. But it's all good. I'll find it somewhere, I'm sure. But yes, Black Panther, the Crew #1. So I've been hotly anticipating this book because it's the Crew, or at least it is a new version of the Crew. Why is there an empty hangout? Anyway, I'm looking at way too much. So here we have it starts off back in the day, 1957 to be precise, with a story about a dude that may or may not have ties to a certain familiar-looking superpowered group or a crew, if you want to put it that way. It cuts to a story of that, but then it cuts to the present, to where this person is has been apparently a rabble rouser, always up in the police's face, always getting arrested, and whoa. Always gets arrested, always trying to check the police on their actions, that kind of stuff. He has been put in police custody, and just like something ripped out of the headlines, he is murdered while in police custody. And when we cut to the present, we are cutting to the day of his funeral, which is in Harlem, which is apparently where he's from. Okay, what is going on?
I'm trying to work on it.
Okay, no problem. Sorry. So, you know, and as such things has happened, just like in the headlines, there's some community concern. There's police out in action. Because of this, the AmeriCops got brought in. And if you've been reading Captain America Sam Wilson, you know about the AmeriCops. They're pretty much a private, militarily, geared up security force who have no problem with just roughing up civilians. And I'm sure there are plenty of police forces out there now that would love to be them. But anyway, enough with the editorializing. So yeah, we definitely get some real world feel from this already. So the cops are coming to the funeral because they want to question the family, because apparently they think one of the family members, I don't know what they were looking for, but there was a group outside full of community-minded people. Oh, and also I should take to mention, because this is going to come up later, Harlem has a curfew now, and which is the other reason why the AmeriCops got because of the actions going on. So the cops are trying to get into the guy's funeral. And the family just wants, to be left alone while this is going on. It just so happens that Misty Knight was called in by the family to help investigate, because the family thinks obviously it was the police's fault, because they were in police custody. Like I said, the story behind that is just ringing just like something you would have heard out in the news. Misty gets called in. Misty knows about the guy, and because when she was on the force, apparently she's had some dealings with him and knows him, to be the rabble-rouser that he was. But because the family called him in, she's working the case. And while the police is trying to come in to get the judge, she kind of backs them down because Misty's got connections. She'll get that behind like glue. So there's also with the family another person who we don't know who it is at first, but Misty apparently does. And if you don't look, it takes probably a minute or two to kind of catch who it is, but we will find out later on who it is, who's also concerned because she's a family friend and, wants to see justice done. So what ends up happening is, her and Misty ends up talking. They're walking along. Apparently curfew comes up. And they get attacked by the AmeriCops who, come after Misty and this other person. And Misty holds her own for a little bit until some more AmeriCops shows up, and then this other person who we find out to be Storm, shows herself and fends off the cops, and then they go off because they find out like, look, there's something going on here, and we gotta figure out what's going on. And that's where the issue ends. Like none of the other crew shows up in this. This is just straight up just Misty and Storm on this one. In the beginning, I like the whole kind of ripped from the headline thing is whatever it is. It is pretty much fair games for stories nowadays. So I didn't have too much problem with that. I thought it was an interesting way to start this one off because there was also a reference to Little Mogadishu, which if you've read the original Crew miniseries, that's where that takes place. But there's no telling whether they're going to go back to that, or it's just going to be another in the line of references. But that pretty much what starts at least part of this crew in action now. And I imagine we will see the rest of the crew come in the next issue or two. So, like I said, I enjoyed it. It was it was a pretty grounded, and it made sense. Or for at least Misty at first to be surrounded. But what we tend to forget is that Storm has roots in Harlem too, which gets brought up in the story, and that's what brought her to this. So we start to see people's motivations of getting involved in what's going on here which I will imagine we will see, everybody else's as they come in. And I think, Black Panther's kind of probably will be kind of slightly obvious because, he's spent some time at Harlem before. So, and Luke, Manifold, we don't know yet because, like I said, he hasn't shown up yet. But I imagine all of that'll come out. But like I said, for a beginner story, it was pretty good. Like, it was pretty light on the action. It was more just setting up the what the plot is going to be more than anything, with a little bit of action at the end. So we shall see how this plays out.
All right. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's all right. So far, we'll see how they take it. It's Ta-Nehisi Coates, so.
Who's been doing the main Black Panther series and co-writing the World of Wakanda book.
You might as well say the Black Panther is beginning to be a line of its own. Like the X-Men and Spider-Man have their own kind of lines of books.
Right. So. All right. Let me bring up the cover for the next book.
All right.
And while I'm trying to bring it up, I'll just say it's going to be another of the Marvel Resurrection titles. X-Men Blue.
Ah, yes. I didn't get a chance to read this one.
I liked it.
Cool. I had intended to read it because, X-Men Gold, outside of, no one really, we'll get to that later on, but, outside of the Troubles, nobody really knew about it until it came out later. The book read pretty well.
Yeah, it was 3 of our clicks of the week last week.
Yeah, yes, that's absolutely true. So, and we're not going to I don't think we're going to back down off of that because the story is what it was, and the troubles with the artist aside that had are separate.
I will say, book. I was the only one not to pick a controversial book last week.
Well, we didn't know it was a controversial book until later on. So.
And obviously, Doug is trying to log in now, so whenever he's situated.
Lucha Elvis thing going on. Yep.
We can.
Okay. Apparently, my webcam is not going to work.
Uh-oh.
So basically, I've put on the Windows 10 Creators Update, as it's called.
The anniversary update or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, and it does not. Okay, so I have my own virus protection. I use AVG antivirus, and I've used it for years. I love it. You get a lot of false positives, but I'd rather be more secure than less. They added their own, they have their own Windows Defender they've had for a long time, but now they've made it's almost impossible to get rid of. I haven't figured out how. I've gone into the registry. I've gone, the group policy editor is now gone from the Creators Update, so I don't know what to do about that. I cannot go in and, I have my own firewall built into my router. I have my own antivirus, and yet their antivirus and their firewall want to take over my system.
Because everything's baked in now.
Right, and I want to go in and shut it off because I don't need that, and they keep turning it back on. So, unfortunately, one of the things that's happening is it's killing my webcam software. So it thinks my webcam software is trying to make some sort of unauthorized use of the firewall thing, whatever, and so it just won't let me my webcam. So I got a whole big ball of nothing.
And who knows what else is broken?
Yeah, well,
really.
But hey, they did improve Edge, and it's now 50% less crappy than it was before.
I probably need to use Edge more often instead of Chrome, having a million Chrome windows open.
Yeah, I mean, Edge is pretty nice as far as memory. Yeah. The only thing is I've had some issues with certain plugins that I use in Chrome that they just don't have the extensions or the plugins available in Edge, and I'm just so used to, I have not typed in a password in so long, because I've got everything backed up and saved and encrypted and whatever, and it's not going to work in Edge, and so it's I don't even remember what my username and password is for half the stuff. So until they find a way to,
Wonder how Edge's LastPass plugin is.
I've tried it, but the problem is it goes to a place and it's like, all right, type in your username and password and we'll save it. And it's like, well, I don't remember. That's why I wanted the software in the first place. So then I have to open up Chrome to go into the password thing to find out what it is. And it's like, by that time, I'm like, I'm already in Chrome. I'll just keep using it. So anyway, all right. So what horrible books have you talked about already?
Funny.
We did Black Panther and the Crew #1.
Okay. And we're just about to do X-Men Blue #1. Which, by the way, hey everybody, it's PC_Dirt.
We are stuck with this face the rest of the night.
Yeah, sorry about that, but
What's
so are there any like Nazi references in X-Men Blue or any like any terrorist threats being made in the backs of the pages or anything?
I believe it's a Hispanic artist this time, so
the Medellin drug cartel has got hidden messages on where they hide the bodies in the background
I would have appreciated some Fast and Furious references since that comes out this weekend.
Oh no.
They like to go to Latin countries during those movies.
Well, luckily I haven't read this one, so you guys go ahead.
So it's all me. So it's the original 5 X-Men back together again with the slightly different team dynamic. Jean Grey, aka Marvel Girl, as they're calling her again, is the new team leader. And they have a Blackbird instead of traveling around using a mini Banff from the previous all new X-Men series.
Which is weird because I could have sworn I saw some pages from Jean Grey #1 and she's got one with her. But I think they said in X-Men Prime that Scott ran her away or something.
They said it here too. So
yeah,
that Scott ran the Banff away. But they're off on a mission. It's like a cruise ship that's being, I guess, robbed by Black Tom Cassidy, if you remember, older X-Men villain from back in the day. They easily defeat him, but where Black Tom usually goes another partner in crime of his, which brings in the reintroduction of the Juggernaut.
Bitches.
Yeah. For some reason, he's got these piping like tubes coming out of his back, which I don't remember him having before, but he kind of looks like a huge Bane.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, of course, they have a little trouble stopping him. He's mad at Cyclops for killing his brother. You know, Charles Xavier being Juggernaut's half-brother. Scott tries to tell him that, that it wasn't him. It was his older self, which, of course, confuses Kane Marco.
Doesn't take much.
Yeah. Beast, aka Hank McCoy, in the previous volume of All New X-Men, had started dabbling in magic, which is a little different from him being the scientist. And he conjures a spell to send the Juggernaut to hell to get rid of him. And that's how they stop him. Cyclops gets all mad because he's like, the X-Men don't do things like this. We don't send people to hell. He's like, I sent them to Siberia via hell. So they have a little disagreement. Jean.
And apparently, was there a thing about Scott not being leader anymore?
I mean, they brought it up and kind of Cullen Bunn, you can tell he's kind of having fun with this book. Like there's a lot of witty banter between all 5 team members here. So yeah, there's a lot of on the Blackbird flight to the cruise ship. Iceman keeps referring to everyone as their first names, and everyone keeps reminding him, use code name. Or Scott tells him, "How about we use code names in the field?" And he's like, "Gene, Scott's acting like he's the leader again." Type of deal going on. That kind of runs through the entire fight sequence. But Gene does a good job of leading the team. They win the day. And then they go back to their home base, which we see is in Madripoor. And they get to wherever they're going, and they check in with their secret leader, who turned out to be Magneto. So their original 5 X-Men are working with Magneto. And behind Magneto... Do that one more time.
What?
Sound effects.
It was a little garbled though when I heard it, so it was like. And I was like,
still working out the kinks.
That's why I had him repeat it since I spoke over it.
That's Juggernaut with a big bean burrito, is what that was.
Or as Matt Wang in the chat says, Bane Knot.
So one cool thing here is on a monitor screen, a wall monitor screen behind Magneto, as we see him revealed, is a different panel showing, I guess, like their targets. So that Magneto talks about they have to go after former friends and sort of like outlaw mutants that are given, mutants a bad name. So I guess that's like their mission statement. So like you see Emma Frost, you see their fight with Black Tom Cassidy. You see M from the previous Cullen Bunn's previous volume of Uncanny X-Men. And I want to say there's like one other like sort of bad mutant on there. Oh, Sebastian Shaw, I think, is on there. So, and then at the end, there's just like I think it was Avengers and Uncanny Avengers had like on the last, not Uncanny Avengers, but US Avengers had the final page of like things to come this year. We get the same type deal of like 3 scenes. One has the original 5 X-Men being confronted by a person popping claws out, who actually shows up in a backup story here. The second one shows the original Generation X team. And the third is the future Brotherhood of Evil Mutants that were in Brian Michael Bendis's run of All New X-Men. So some time traveling's going on, and some former new faces are going to be introduced. So the backup story has to deal with this guy, I guess in like a small town, being hunted by the local police because they're having cases of like someone or something going around killing animals and people and stuff. So they're out hunting it. We think it's the hooded figure that we're introduced to, but turns out there's actually a Wendigo that's, I think, it's been killing the people. The Wendigo attacks the police group. The hooded guy jumps in to help. He pops his claws and gets to fighting. The hood comes off, and we see, they don't really reveal who it is. You see a guy with like a bunch of facial hair, like brownish facial hair, but I think it's the assumption is it's the Wolverine from the Ultimate Universe, James Howlett, or whatever his name is. I guess James Howlett is Wolverine's real name, but I forget whatever the young Wolverine clone from Ultimate Universe his name was.
Wait, I thought he died.
Secret Wars undid all that stuff. You remember?
Yeah, sure.
Just blame Black Tom Cassidy, I think, was dead at one point too, but blame Secret Wars.
Sure.
So that's how the issue ends.
Great. And as we know, science is just magic we can't understand. By the way,
I guess I am interested in this like heel turn that young Hank is taking.
Science we don't understand. Whatever. You got me.
It's like, is he gonna eventually turn down the dark path that his future self did, since he's dabbling with magic and things he can't control and probably doesn't understand fully? But Doug, since we've both chosen a book we've read, what do you want to touch upon?
Well,
what
we can keep it
thrust upon us.
I would say we can keep it on the Marvel side. We can even keep it in the X-Men. We can even keep it talking on the Wolverine tip, because I read both Old Man Logan 21 and Weapon X #1. So, amazingly enough, I have X books I can talk about.
Which one you want to do first?
I don't know that it really matters.
Do Weapon X.
Yeah, we'll do Weapon X #1 because it's a #1 new series. So I don't know if either of you read this, because I didn't look at the sheet because I've been fighting with my computer.
Have not gotten to it yet.
Okay. Well, just to warn you, there is Greg Land artwork within it. So keep your...
One reason why I wasn't rushing to get to it.
As far as the issue goes, this really is a story about Wolverine, and he is trying to hunt down, apparently, the Weapon X program has continued, or someone else has taken over control of it, or someone is trying to replicate it, or there's something going on, but the Weapon X program apparently is still out there in some form or another. And Wolverine is attacked and realizes that something's got to be done about it. And this issue starts him on a journey of tracking down some of the other Weapon X members or victims or subjects, or however you want to say it, in order to find a member that he believes has been captured and is being forced into this program. And so the story itself is fine, but for those that were, you pick it up and on the cover you see Domino and Sabretooth and Lady Deathstrike and Old Man Logan and was that Thunderbird? No, Warpath, right?
Warpath,
yeah. All right. So you see all of them on the cover. Well, they are not all in this book. So just keep that in mind. He's starting off on a journey to bring them all together, but it looks like it's going to be a while before they're all there. So this is really, honestly, this felt like an issue of Old Man Logan in a sense. It's him being attacked and setting off on this journey to bring these guys together. So I guess depending on what your expectations are, it's either just fine or it's an issue of Defenders apparently on my screen. What just happened there? But nonetheless, it's okay for a first issue for the setup. Obviously not a lot happens yet because it's the first issue of this new series, and it's got to play some things before it all comes together. And I guess it's fine in that regard. But my problem is, like I said, it feels like an issue of Old Man Logan. He is the focus of it. 90% of this issue is looking at him, focused on him, and following him around. So, I picked it up. Actually, I guess a good way to say it is I wanted to kind of expand my horizons because I have not followed anything X-Men regularly outside of Old Man Logan for a long time. So I figured I'd give it a shot, and it's really nothing outside of Old Man Logan for most of the issues. So it's okay. I'll give it, obviously a couple more issues to see where it's going, to see if it, seems to add anything else. But for people hoping that you got to see a lot more of these other characters, it's not happening in this issue. Right. But we can run over to Old Man Logan. Old Man Logan 21. He is attempting to go back to the alternate timeline he came from, where he left one of the baby Hulks there in an effort to rescue the baby Hulk so that it can grow up not to be a horrible tyrant in the dystopian alternate future. And the problem is he gets thrown into the wrong time period. And so this issue sets him off really on a time traveling journey where he has this amulet. And when he grabs the amulet, he pops to a different time period. But of course, as he's being thrown into this other time period, he drops the amulet, and then he's got to go find it to continue on his journey to try to get to the right spot. So the story itself really has nothing to do with the alternate future and him actually getting back to it. It's more like, I guess, an action-oriented Bill and Ted's, because he's kind of being thrown around, has no idea what he's doing, and doesn't really remember anything about the time periods and the stuff that's going on. So it takes him a while to get through it. There's a lot of I want to say dialogue, but really most of it is monologue in the book. And the problem is most of the monologues that you're reading through is him just narrating what you're looking at. So there's a lot of I just want to sleep. I want the pain to end. No, not here. I won't be here. Stuck here in all places. I want to go home. Just send me home. That's like 2 pages worth of dialogue right there of the stuff that's going on. And you're just, I really felt let down by this because it is, like, I understand it's going to be a journey. He's going to get there. You don't want to give it all away in the first part of this new story arc. But on the other hand, a lot of it was just not really all that interesting. It's like, oh, he got thrown in the past and he's fighting these guys in the War of 1812. All right, I guess. But what it really comes down to is just him being thrown around and they shoot him and they go, oh my gosh, he survived being shot. And then he pops the claws and they're like, oh my gosh, he has claws. And then he starts cutting them and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's a monster. And you're like, yeah, I know all this. Like, I got it. Thanks. I really didn't need a whole issue to remind me of what his powers and abilities and his history is. So, I've had ups and downs with the book in the past. So, obviously I'm not going to give up on it, just because there's one not as exciting issue in the bunch. But overall, I did set down the issue and feel just kind of like, that's it. Like, I'm pretty let down by what happened. So that's it for my 2 Wolverine books. And
does he at least leap into anybody else's bodies?
No, just himself at different time periods.
Well, shoot.
Yeah. we don't get anything where he suddenly finds himself in a dress. Sam, what's going on? Ziggy says you have a 28.9% chance. Nothing that exciting. It's
how much better would that be though?
If Wolverine jumped into the body of Marilyn Monroe, I think I'd probably read that comic. Like, I'd like to know how that works out. But yeah, it was just kind of flat though. It's just if you're someone who wasn't that familiar with Wolverine and didn't know that he lived through all this different stuff, and you wanted to see some of that history, like, oh, what was he like back in those days? Then I guess whatever, it might be a little more interesting. But I don't know. I just kind of felt like, that's it. Nah, not much to it.
Are you aware that the current Iron Fist writer is going to take over the series, right?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire is leaving Marvel, I guess, whenever his contract. His contracted issues finally published.
Well, he's still doing this series, so his name is on it. So
I think this is 21. I think 25. The Ed Brisson takes over.
Okay.
So you have 4 more.
Well, I mean, that's fine. Like I said, it wasn't terrible. It was just, disappointing.
Right.
All right.
It's not like, okay, I'll just say this real quick to people who are listening. There are some books that you read and you get done reading it and you're like, I don't know what the hell I just read because that was so poorly written. Or you're looking at it going, I've been staring at this page for 10 minutes and I still don't understand what's going on in half of it because the artwork is so bad. Like, this is not that, Like what's done is done professionally. It is a professionally put together comic. I'm just disappointed in the overall story and plot and developments of what's happening with the characters inside. So by no means am I saying like this is a piece of garbage that you shouldn't buy ever in your entire life. It's just kind of disappointing considering the great things that have been done in the series before. And now I'm done.
Speaking of, what's up with Guardians of the Galaxy 19?
Bendis is gone.
I read that.
I haven't yet.
I made some comment for everybody who's listening and wondering. I made a comment that the Guardians 19, I don't remember exactly what I said. Like, it was disappointing or it was trash or something. And someone said something like, oh, is it really that bad? And I said, no, but Bendis is. And it's just the idea that I'm so tired of Bendis writing anything, anymore. It's like nowadays, like I used to really like Miles Morales, but now I see the book and it's just like, like I'm just gonna get through this in the hope that eventually it's gonna get better and Bendis is gonna leave, and someone can develop the character. instead of doing 23 pages of them sitting in the cafeteria having a conversation over lunch, But yeah, Bendis is finally gone from Guardians, so it can get back on track and maybe get back to some of its history that's been ignored for the last couple of years. And
Jerry Duggan's taken over, if I'm not mistaken.
Huh? I said who I like, so.
Yeah, so I haven't read too much Duggan, so I'm not sure.
I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on him a lot of times. Like when he took over, well, maybe he didn't take over, but the new Deadpool series that's out now, not Mercs with the Mouth, but the main Deadpool one he does. And a lot of times on that, it's like, it's hot and cold. It's like you'll have an issue like, oh, that's kind of fun, whatever. And then you read the next one, you're just like, I'm angry I spent $4 on this, So we'll see how it goes.
So real quick, I want to say I haven't read this yet, but so Bendis' run on Guardians has actually started out pretty decent. Like especially with the stuff with Ben was actually
this volume of Guardians of the Galaxy started out good.
Yeah, but then it started getting into some stuff. But
well, there was after about maybe 6 or 8 issues, people started asking the question: has Bendis ever read Guardians before? Like he's mentioning things and he's doing stuff with characters, and they're like, none of this makes sense.
Right. If
you go back and look at the Guardians, and last year, like I think at Halloween, people were tweeting out their deep dark secrets, and his secret was that he had never read a Guardians book before. He had just seen the movie, and they asked him to do the book, or he read the script to the movie while it was in production or something. They asked him to do the new book, and so he just started writing it, really with no understanding of who the characters were and not knowing what any of the history was.
Well, that makes sense.
So I think once that came out, it was kind of like, okay, you've admitted that now. We're going to slowly cycle you out of this, and we're going to move on from here.
Yeah, and sadly, we will never get another DNA book ever again. So
Bendis is now the official title of longest run on Guardians. I think he said.
Wait, is that true? DNA's run was 25 or 26.
Well, this is 19 right here, and then.
Oh wait, and then that was the last volume. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, ew.
But so.
Oh wait, wait. That still can't be true because what about the original run?
All right, Wikipedia.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe he said that, but
yeah, but
I could be wrong.
That if Bendis said that, then you also realize he's done absolutely no research on it and doesn't understand the characters.
Oh, and that is evident here. So remember, I just said on the last book that Jeff Lemire was leaving Marvel. He's currently writing a Thanos ongoing series where the Mad Titan is dying from something we don't know what's actually causing it, if it's an ailment or disease or whatnot. But either way, he's dying and he's weaker than he usually is. But here he's nice and healthy and teaming up with the, I guess, Galactic Council, or what's left of them, the Brood Queen, a Badoon, higher official, and Annihilus. They invite him to a meeting and say like, hey, we'd like you to join us because we want to make the universe tremble before us, yada yada yada. But first, there's this planet that's in our way that we need to get rid of called Earth. You're familiar with it. He goes along with it. But back on Earth, our heroes we've had these solo stories throughout the last 5 issues, whatever, of each Guardian. Here we catch up with Peter Quill and Rocket Raccoon, as you see there on the cover, on a shield helicarrier with Captain Marvel, and they're trying to find a way to get off planet, asking if they have access to a spaceship they can use. She says there's only 3 spacecraft on the planet that could take them where they need to go. I forget what, 2 of them are somewhere, and then she just happens to mention a what do you call those car places where you just go impound lot, I guess. There's an impound lot for spaceships somewhere. I forget where in the U.S. it is. And like Rocket flips out. He's like, "You're just now bringing this up." But then all these alerts start going off on the helicarrier. And before we find out what it is, we check in with Groot, who has taken up just pretending to be a tree in a park until a big black cloud comes overhead, which makes him get out of his tree form and go run off. We catch up with Ben Grimm and Kitty Pryde, who stopped Armadillo on a bridge, I think. They, of course, encountered a big cloud overhead. Venom, or aka Flash Thompson, is interviewing for a job until the black cloud comes overhead. So yeah, you see the pattern. Everyone's going about their business until they're interrupted by the black cloud, and then it's with Flash Thompson looking out the window that we see it's like a big armada of like Chitauri ships and all this other kind of stuff, which I'm pretty sure the space keeping force of Alpha Flight is supposed to stop these things from, just showing up on our doorstep like this, especially since in the Captain America books and Captain Marvel books, they've been talking up this Chitauri fleet that they've been monitoring for I don't know how long, that is supposed to be heading towards the Earth. And they have this big shield thing that they're talking about throwing up to prevent them from showing up. So I don't know how just this 100,000 ships of space aliens can just show up out the blue and be hovering over New York City. Again, Bendis not adhering to Marvel law.
He has his own continuity.
Right. So yeah, so he really does. But Thanos lands on the helicarrier, starts fighting Shield agents and Rocket. Actually, I was gonna say Rocket Raccoon, but Peter Quill and Drax. Rocket Raccoon gets Captain Marvel to fly him to the impound lot for spaceships because she can fly faster than he can fly on his little jetpack. It's during the fight with Thanos on the helicarrier that we get different artists who provided art for this book, because it's like 6 or 8 different artists. So you get like a Ed McGuinness 1-page splash page of Drax punching Thanos in the face. You have when the Armada's coming in, we get 1 page with a couple of different panels of Andrea Sorrentino art, the Old Man Logan former artist. Let's see, like Sarah Purcelli does a page. Kevin McGuire, I think, is some of his frequent collaborators. The normal hit list of artists that have worked on either Guardians or Bendis books. Mark Bagley does a page or 2. So basically, all the Guardians come and end up joining the fight. Angela ends up taking out the Alien High Council people, the Brood and the Badoon officials. They beat up. I think the issue actually ends with them, the Guardians, defeating Thanos and him being like taken into custody, and the Guardians getting a ship of their own to fly off and leave the planet, and that's it. Which again, when is this story supposed to be taking place? If he's currently sick and dying in his own ongoing series. It was kind of cool seeing like the Guardians saying goodbye to the members they left on Earth. So it's again the original movie Guardians that end up leaving. So Venom, Thing, Angela, and Kitty Pryde stay on Earth. So like Kitty and Peter Quill have a nice little hug to say goodbye. Captain Marvel and Gamora take a selfie in the background. It's kind of little stuff like that. I like Valerio Schiti did the majority of the art on this book. So, and he's also been the ongoing artist on the series. So his art is nice, and I'd be curious to see what project he works on next. But yeah. Oh, and then we check in with the defeated Alien High Council members, and it's like Annihilus and Badoon person that are like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we should leave Earth alone. Yeah, it's not worth it. It's like the the Bendis humor. They're so defeated.
You say that like you're not a believer in it.
No, I'll leave it for the get your own take on it. But yeah, that's the issue.
It's almost like they say that, but then there's another event coming in 2 years that could change all of that.
Well, they're taking a break for 18 months from events, quote unquote.
Well, big events, but yeah.
Yeah. As I said, quote unquote.
Well, yeah, I was going to say they're going to take a break from big events, they say, but you'll probably have a crossover that goes between Guardians and Rocket and I Am Groot and all the other. They'll probably do another Drax series that they'll tie in.
Marvel.
You'll just have all of that stuff. They'll all tie together. They just won't tie in Captain America and Spider-Man. You'll still have to buy 8 books a month to stay up with that one story.
Ooh, maybe we'll get another Galactic Storm.
All right.
Great.
Anything else, Marvel?
I read. Actually, I think that's it for Marvel. Actually, I only read 3 books this week, so I think I only have 1 more left.
I have 2 more Marvel actually. So I'm guessing we can go rapid into this. Good night.
We shall or can.
Okay. That being the case, Unstoppable Wasp number 4. So, I actually enjoyed this issue. So, I will have to get the clip for that one, but I'll get it later. Anyway, so Nadia was being confronted by pound cakes of the grapplers at the end of last issue. She almost talks her down this issue until her partner Letha comes in and they hold up whatever place there. Nadia takes them both down fairly easily while giving a good lesson in Red Room tactics and Krav Maga. Then we cut to her getting a new member of her Girl Genius gang. And then the rest of the issue is pretty much her actually getting saved by Jarvis because her best friend from the Red Room, Ying, who's been tasked to bring her back, has come back to again to get her and has her, but then Jarvis talks her down from that. And at the end of the issue, we find out that Ying has a thing in the back of her neck that will cause her to explode if she doesn't bring Nadia back within 36 hours. And that's where the issue ends. But like I said, it was a pretty good issue. It was fun, had a good bit of action in it, and it was cool. It is actually a potential click of the week. So, and then my last one would be Star Wars Dr. Aphra number 6, which is Aphra and her dad escaping from the citadel that they had tomb raided. That apparently has something to do with some Jedis and some AI that I have no idea what was going on because I skipped the issue when it first started. But basically, they escaped the citadel. Aphra pays off her debts, and also sets up for the Star Wars and Dr. Aphra crossover, which apparently will have something to do with the self-same citadel starting next month. And there's that.
Okay.
Not much to say.
I guess I'll say something. All right then. Let's see. So that's all you have for Marvel?
Yep.
Did you read any DC?
But by the time I got the cover up, it was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks, huh, buddy?
Well, especially when your laptop is sluggish and slow. No. I'm having to use my touchscreen on the laptop to do stuff, get stuff to open quicker.
Yeah, I've got 2 monitors set up, and that helps having the extra space because then I can have all different windows and stuff open at the same time. It makes it a lot easier to click on things. But all right, Tim, what DC book did you read this week?
I read Red Hood and the Outlaws, number 9, I believe it is.
Oh wow, that book's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read the last issue, but
actually,
I have a new story arc.
I haven't read this, but I bought it because it was one of the digital copy ones.
Yeah, I think this is the first review copy I got that actually had a digital code in it. So that was kind of cool. This is the start of Who is Artemis Part 1. The trio heads to actually, let me see if I can get the cover up before I get too deep into this. Come on.
Huh. How about the Wilhelm screen?
There we go. And share. Share and there we go. The team heads to I forget what the country's called, like Chronic or something. It's the place where Joker killed Jason Todd back in the day.
Oh, Kurak?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So Jason has some like mixed feelings about that. He says he's only been there one other time, and that I guess it sounded like it was another iteration of the Red Hood and the Outlaws back when it was him, Arsenal, and Starfire. They're heading there because they have a lead on the bow of Ra that Artemis has been seeking. They're flying in an airplane that doesn't work, but Bizarro is carrying the plane outside with Artemis and Red Hood inside. The leader of Karak he just like wiped out a small town or something, and they think the weapon he's using might be the bow of Ra. They get a warning not to fly into the city. Of course, they ignore it, so they 2 airplanes attack them. Bizarro just kind of like tosses the plane up in the air, flies off, takes out the enemy fighters, and then catches the plane again and keeps it flying until this big white light shows up, and then everything goes black. When Red Hood wakes up, he's in the wreckage of the plane on the ground, so they obviously crashed. He gets captured. He doesn't know where Bizarro and Artemis are. He's kind of worried about Bizarro because he's, of course, a deformed Superman clone who can't think clearly by himself. But, of course, he ends up getting found by the townspeople. And, of course, he's the lovey-dovey person that is going to be nice to the townspeople, at least from the looks of it. They ask for his help. You know, it's like, you're Superman, aren't you? And he's like, he, of course, gives probably some messed up response. And then finally, Artemis, we catch up with her. She's in chains, held captive, and we find out that her former friend and sort of one of her best friends on the island, Themyscira, is now the one that has possession of the bow of Ra. And then it's to be continued. But I like Red Hood and the Outlaws. I know a lot of people don't even pay it much attention, but Scott Lobdell's kind of the last like year or 2 years, I've enjoyed his DC work. Like he did Doomed and Red Hood and Arsenal I enjoyed a lot. So this is kind of just a continuation of it. For some reason, I guess he must have like this lifelong contract with DC or something because they keep giving him Red Hood series.
He met Jim Lee somewhere and bought him dinner or something. The 2 became friends, and so he's constantly getting work.
It's kind of confusing how it works.
But yeah, you know, like I said, I haven't had a chance to read all the way through it. The artwork is a little off-putting in spots when I flip through it. There's a couple spots where it seems like I can't figure out, is it trying to be manga or trying to be like 90s image? And then sometimes it feels original, but it seems to have this real personality disorder to it. But, I figured I'd give it a shot since it is kicking off this. I don't know if it just started this issue or last issue, but it's a newer arc. So I'd figure at least, give it a try, see what happens.
And it is the beginning issue.
Okay.
Or the beginning of the story.
And Agent _70 is with us.
Woohoo! Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Not quite the same level of applause, but it's still there. There we go.
Boy, that's the Google Effects version.
That's going away.
Yeah, after April 25th.
Okay,
Yep.
so we got 2 weeks left, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've just got 2 other DC books I can go through pretty quickly, actually.
And I got one. So
Well, I've got Action Comics and Supergirl. Is your one either of those?
Yep.
Okay, then. Let's start with Action. Action Comics 977. This is part of the Superman Reborn Aftermath. And it is quite honestly a recap of Superman's origin, his whole history, his storyline. For anybody that has not been paying attention, hasn't been listening to the show or watching what's been going on in the Superman books, there have been 2 Supermen running around. One of them died. The other one is the old guy from the 90s series from an alternate universe who came back and took his place. And then they found out that some sort of being, which is probably Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen, but we'll get to that later, has like split his power in order to keep him weak. And so that's why there were 2 versions of Superman. Now they've been realigned and rejoined together. And when that happened, the whole history of Superman changed. And so the new 52 version of Superman was more or less written out of history. And all of the history of the original Superman overwrote it. So nobody remembers the other guy. No one remembers any of the stuff he went through, which makes me wonder what happened to the professional wrestling organization of the old gods. That was such a fun story. But nonetheless, if you wanted to know what Superman's history was, you weren't familiar with the character, and you wanted to get a recap, this is the issue. It does throw in a couple breadcrumbs of something going on in the background, some guy gathering together villains for some nefarious purpose against Superman that we don't know exactly what it is. But this is just like a recap. You want to know what Krypton was like. You wanted to know what it was like when his parents put him into the rocket ship. You want to know what it was like when the Kents found him on Earth. If you want to know what it was like when he came to Metropolis. I mean, all of this stuff is mentioned in there. It shows Lex Luthor as a kid with curly red hair when he first discovered kryptonite. It throws all of that stuff. So it looks like it's gone back to that history of Superman. So all your questions answered about his history and where he stands now in the DC Universe Rebirth universe. But unfortunately, that's really it. So there's not a whole lot else beyond that recap. So it feels kind of like a filler issue because there's not a whole lot else. Like I said, there's some breadcrumbs of something else going on with the villain, but it's not enough to, really move a story. It's just there to put breaks in the recap so that you can move to different eras of Superman's history. So it's kind of like the Old Man Logan, where it's not bad. It's just, kind of disappointing because nothing really happens. Supergirl number 8. I'm still not a fan of the artwork, but what happens in this issue is Superman comes to visit Supergirl, and he reveals to her that his entire history has been rewritten. And if you want to know what that history is, you can pick up Action Comics 977 to get that history that you hear about in Supergirl. So they've at least, tied them together, you can tell that someone, at least somewhere in editorial, is going, hey, here's some Post-it notes. Make sure you work this stuff together. This issue is all about defining the relationship that this new version of Superman has with Supergirl. Things are a little different. They're not as weird as they were before. She's not as angry as apparently she has been recently. And the two of them are, working together just fine. So again, there's no real problem with it, but it's again set up to reestablish your baseline for the relationship the two characters have. So again, there's not a whole lot to it beyond just giving you that history and retelling you to go check that stuff out. So again, not terrible, but it is a little disappointing. So that's all I have for DC. Does anybody else have a DC to throw in there?
Nay.
Yeah, I got one. So that being the case, Titans number 10. So this is actually still a pretty good book. This issue finds the Fearsome Five, who back in action, who if you have not been reading the last couple of issues, they operate Meta Solutions, which is on the surface is a place where people with powers could either learn how to use their powers or get rid of them. Behind the scenes, it appears that they are taking these said powers and selling them off to someone else. So the Titans find this out because Mal Duncan went to them to get his powers taken away, and his wife, Karen Beecher, aka Bumblebee, went there to get an understanding of her newly enhanced powers or new powers. I'm not sure which the case may be. Because she's been having like flashes of them and doesn't know how to control them, so she went there to see about that. The Titans went in to kind of infiltrate, and they got caught, or at least a couple of them did, aka Nightwing and the Flash. The rest of the team got worried about them. They went after them. They end up getting caught this issue and beat by the Fearsome Five. And in turn, the Fearsome Five gets beat up by Bumblebee, but not before Simon ends up taking away her memories of Mal Duncan and her kid, which leads the crew into trying to figure out, how to get those back, and trying to figure out why he decided to take those, for whatever reason, he decided to take those from him. But it all leads back to Hive, and at the end of the issue, we see Deathstroke. So this is where that road is going next issue. But I enjoyed it. So and that's all the DC books for me. In fact, that's all of my books.
I do have one other small press book. It's called Solar Flare, and I think the cover is in what I gave Tim. It's Solar Flare from Scout Comics, and basically the quick rundown is there's a solar flare, thus the name of the title, Solar Flare, that's coming to Earth, and it's going to wipe out all the electronics. And so it's the start of a post-apocalyptic future. Society is going to fall. But the thing that's interesting about this one is that it's starting more or less on day one. So you're going to see how all this stuff is happening. It actually teases you by opening with a scene that it says in late fall, but then it jumps back to the beginning of March, and March is when the solar flare is going to hit. So you have this the scene set later on in the year just to like tease you on where it's going, but then it jumps back and shows you how it all begins. So it's an interesting look at, just more or less normal people going about their normal lives. No big deal. No one's really paying attention to anything going on. And then boom, this thing's going to wipe out, all of the electrical grids and power supplies and electronics and whatever on Earth. So it's an interesting setup, and the way that it's done, it's really, this issue focuses on the characters, and it shows you that the solar flare is coming. Like it tells you, like, this day here at this time, and you see the flare come off of the corona of the sun, and then you see the people as they're going through their routine and the things happening, and that it's coming. It's almost Hitchcockian in the way that, like, that it's coming, and it's gonna be bad, and you're waiting for that moment where it hits, and you're just watching these people as you're seeing who's friends with who and how they know each other and all the connections that they're making. So obviously these characters are going to interact with each other after everything happens. So I just thought it was pretty well set up, and it was an interesting book. The artwork is also kind of weird because they take these photo like panoramic shots, and you can tell that he's using photographs and then running them through the computer and kind of overexposing them, or running them through some filters and then drawing the people on top of them. So it has this look of like it's very realistic, but then at the same time it has this artistic flair to it. So there are times you're looking at it and it looks very photographic, but then at the same time it still has a drawn look on top of it, and you can tell not that he laid the photograph down and just drew on top of it, but he actually ran it through some different filters and ran some art processes on top of it, and then drew the characters and some of the backgrounds on top of it as well. So it's an interesting style, and the characters, you realize that the characters that you see in the beginning are characters that you meet later on in the story, but their relationship, there seems to be something else going on. So something has happened. They reference some events that happened in between now or March and late fall, but you don't know exactly what's going on. So I thought as a first issue, it did a good job of laying down the ground storyline. It did a good job of introducing the characters. It had a unique, interesting art style, and it's one of these things where I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's really entertaining. Especially along the same, it feels like there's a similar vibe to something like Letter 44, or even The Walking Dead, with it having that post-apocalyptic feel to it. Even though we're starting before it hits, you can tell that it definitely has a dark tone to it. You're getting to like some of these characters in the first issue, but they're not all going to survive. So bad things are coming to the world at large, and it's just a neat setup and interesting look to it. So I felt overall it was a strong first issue. But I forgot there was one other Marvel book I read, and that Marvel book is probably my click of the week. Which I don't know why I forgot it, except the fact that my son ran off with the actual paper copy.
Ha!
And then Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows #6.
No kidding, with the X-Men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you missed it earlier. I had 2 X books to even talk about this week.
Wow.
And neither one was X-Men Blue.
Yeah, I believe it.
So anyway, in this issue, as this is an alternate universe, an alternate history. Peter Parker and Mary Jane got married. They have a daughter. She's coming into her own powers in this alternate timeline. And in this particular issue, we have Magneto, and he is building his Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And it just so happens that as Magneto decides to strike, it's Charles Xavier has invited Peter and Mary Jane and their daughter to come up to the school because he thinks it's a good place for her to fit in as she's learning about her powers and figuring out what she can and cannot do. And, in case she ever gets out of control or, she just doesn't know how to deal with having these abilities. Xavier thinks even though she's not a mutant per se, it would be a good place for her to grow up and to be around other people that have powers. And so there's a whole conversation about, she considers herself normal, but mutants consider themselves normal. And she's like, well, I'm just a kid. And like, well, these are all just kids, a lot of that type stuff about trying to, figure out where you fit in and what it means to be different, and some of those things that kids go through. But then, of course, it just happens to be the day that Magneto and the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants come to attack the school. So you get some fun stuff with that thrown in there. And, even though at its heart, it's, Marvel and mutants and fighting and Magneto and all of that stuff, it still has that Saturday morning cartoon fun to it. Even though it's not written as a book for all ages, it's not a book that necessarily, like, there's enough fighting and violence and whatever that they say it's not for 5-year-olds to be sitting there reading. But at the same time, it's the violence I feel is cartoony enough. It feels like a Saturday morning cartoon, and being this alternate universe where he's got a daughter and just makes it a lot of fun. So this book, out of all the ones I read, this one had a great story. There was a lot to read to it. There was a lot of neat stuff happening. The stuff with Magneto and the team coming, they're coming early on. So you're reading, waiting for it to happen. And then when it happens, the mutants that he has are not the mutants you expect. So there's some different powers involved. So it's really neat the way it's restructured and put together. There's even talk about how this timeline avoided a whole civil war having to do with mutant registration, which was a fun thing for them to throw in there. So I really enjoyed it overall. And again, I think it's something that, you might not give it to a 4-year-old to read. There's going to be too many words and too much stuff going on. They're not going to understand it. But it really is otherwise a good book for a wide array of readers, and a lot of fun stuff going on there and a lot of interesting stuff happening at the same time. So Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows 6 is actually my click of the week.
You were talking about the Saturday morning cartoon feel. It actually did, as you were talking about it.
You're underwater.
Of course it is. Okay, here we go. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, now you're fine.
Yeah. Always click your settings, folks. But anyway, like I said, it reminded me of the episode of Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends when they go to visit the X-Men, the X-Mansion. And also, weirdly enough, reminds me of the time Spider-Man thought he was a mutant, but I don't know. Weird. So outside of Agent 70's not having this turn, everybody else is done?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm done.
I think Agent 70, I think the floor is yours, homie.
All right. There's really not much for me to talk about. It sounds like you guys probably covered most of the books this week, like Black Panther, The Crew, #1. I don't know if anyone talked about Amazing Spider-Man #26.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
So this is actually a very close second for my click of the week because there's a lot of action going on in this because of the reveals that happened in Amazing Spider-Man #25. There were 2 major Spider-Man universe characters that returned to the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, and the story has gone on from there. Slott, and I'm going to ring the spoiler bell here, and I got to look for a good substitute for the spoiler bell when they finally cut off effects. But you can definitely see Slott deconstructing what he's constructed, in the sense that Parker Industries and all that and the capabilities that gives Peter Parker may be on their way out, and that is rapidly happening in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man. So it's kind of tough to see, what we were kind of happy to see, which is Peter Parker finally getting a dose of non-Parker luck. In that he was, finally realizing a lot of the potential that he had. Obviously, that was a lot of that was built by one Otto Octavius. So it's who does, in fact, spoiler alert, play a small role in this issue. Ultimately, it's a quick. It's a very quick read because there is so much going on. That's why it's a lot of fun, but it just makes me uncomfortable to see, all that, what was good in Peter Parker's life, at least in terms of material success, is not long for the story. Did you guys get to Captain America Sam Wilson 21? Anybody?
No.
Nah.
Dang, y'all. So very quickly, without spoiling too much, Sam Wilson decides to do something fairly drastic with his Captain America role. You can kind of tell what that is just from the way I describe it, but it's a pretty interesting and introspective issue, looking into the inner workings of Sam Wilson's mind as he considers all that has happened over the last 21 issues um, of his time in office, basically as Captain America. So I recommend reading this because it does provide some insight into the character's thinking as we approach Secret Empire. And, without spoiling again, we already know from the covers of the next issues that we're going to see Sam Wilson dressed more along the lines of Anthony Mackie's Falcon from The Winter Soldier. And even from the Avengers, from the Captain America movies, really. Guardians of the Galaxy number 19. You guys talked about that? You did? All right. My only note to add to that is, damn, yo, Thanos went out like a punk. Power Man and Iron Fist number 15. You guys get to that?
No.
Nope.
Wow. This was actually a pretty nice ending to this particular volume of Power Man and Iron Fist. I suggest people read this as a collected edition because I think it's going to read pretty well. And you guys talked about the X books, Weapon X number 1 and X-Men Blue number 1.
Yeah, my comment on Weapon X was that it felt very much like an issue of Old Man Logan because he was such a central point of it. It didn't branch out to any of the other characters really that were on the cover, except for 2 of them briefly.
Right.
But otherwise, it felt like it could have been just another issue of Old Man Logan.
I agree. I feel like it's taking a little bit too long to get the band back together, or get the band together. Period. And I'm not reading this anymore because I can't take Greg Land's art.
Understandable.
And X-Men Blue number 1 wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but I still don't have any interest in following these original X-Men running around in today's world. So I guess we'll get to clicks of the week, and I'll talk about my click of the week.
All right.
Is that all right?
You got something?
Yeah, I am going to pick Ragnarok number 12 as my click of the week from the genius mind of Walt Simonson, published by IDW. There's some great stuff in here. This is the end of the second story arc in Ragnarok, which follows basically the undead Thor. That's not really spoiling anything. We're 12 issues into the series. Thor has to deal with the after effects and all the ramifications of what essentially was an occurrence of Ragnarok, and the denizens of the 9 realms who remain after the gods of Asgard have basically gone away. So without getting too deep into it, because this is the last issue of a fairly long and involved story arc, there's just a lot of fun to be had in this. There's lots of old school Simonson fun. The lettering by John Workman is still here. The colors by Laura Martin are eye popping, and there is in fact a very active Asgardian squirrel who plays a very large role in the story. So if get a kick out of the idea of a squirrel coming to the aid of the God of Thunder, then you should read this. It's a lot of fun. You don't even necessarily have to be up on the story, because I kind of don't remember what happened in the last couple of issues. That I just vaguely remember that we are coming to a confrontation that involves Thor trying to regain a lot of his strength to to confront, or at least try to prevent the death of one of the other main characters in the arc. So. Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought it was muted. I just took a big swig of water and I was like kind of choking on the water a little bit.
I'm like, yo, are we recording this for a new soundboard? What?
Definitely need to be in there.
Yo. Jeez, yo.
Well, let that be a lesson to you, kids. Don't try to chug half a bottle of bottled water while sitting at your desk. You need to stand up and get a good deep breath before you get started.
Anyway. All right. So that's my click of the week for this week.
Mine's going to go to X-Men Blue #1.
As Dirt tries to compose himself.
Oh, gosh.
You're bubbling again, Roddy.
Did mine go through?
Yeah, X-Men Blue.
Yeah, X-Men Blue.
All right.
Dirt, what was yours again?
Renew your vows.
Okay. And I guess that leaves me with excuse me. I guess I will go to, even though I did enjoy Black Panther the Crew #1, I will go with Unstoppable Wasp #4.
Wow. We covered all the bases tonight.
What was yours, Doug?
Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows #6.
I'd read.
All right. So let's find a good ad read for this part of the show. Waiting it to load. Nice.
This section brought to you by GasX. Get rid of annoying gas bubbles.
So let me tell you about Skull Candy. Skull Candy makes the best headphones, earbuds, and gaming headsets, all with lifetime warranties. Skull Candy produces many types of audio accessories, including headphones, sports earbuds, Xbox gaming headsets, PlayStation gaming headsets, DJ headphones, iPod, and MP3 headphones. And now, for the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's comic book Chronicles, Skull Candy offers free standard shipping on your order. To help keep our podcast free, order from Skull Candy by going to cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then clicking on the Keep Our Podcast Free link. Click on the Skull Candy banner and then shop for high-quality audio accessories with free standard shipping. Skull Candy Audio through cspn.us. Do it today. Nice.
All right. So in cinematic news, there's a new...
Yeah, we were going to work on the timing once they phase out the sound effects.
I just jumped out of my chair.
I know. There's a new trailer for an episode of Riverdale. Booze, Brawls, and Archie's mom make their way in the new trailer. There's a Full Metal Alchemist teaser, takes us back to the beginning. A new Ghost in the Shell anime is announced. There's a reason Natalie Morales' powerless character is not called Fire.
What is the reason?
We address it, said Morales in a response to that very question on Twitter. So.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently they call her Green Fury on the show, and who actually is a member, the name of a member from JLI, and I don't know.
Oh, all right, I see.
I guess last week's episode, there were raises the question, who were the Arrow villains on the Powerless Bullseye?
Which I think was actually the same episode that Fire, aka Green Fury, showed up, whatever.
I need to catch up.
Yeah.
Who does Sylvester Stallone play in Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Spoiler alert, he is the one who knows.
Evidence points to an obscure hero. We got our first Thor Ragnarok trailer, and it was awesome.
Yeah. And shout out to Tim Dog 98 for doing a great write up on CBR.
Yeah, I posted a trailer, and I got to do the biggest moments recap.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Nice.
I was glad to see that. I was like, yeah, we got, we absolutely got some shine for Tim Dog 98 doing the best moments of the trailer. That was a lot of fun. That was definitely a highlight of the week of an otherwise craptastic couple of weeks of work and life. That trailer brought, that trailer, like a lot of people say, that trailer is life or brings life. That was a lot of fun this week, man. Yeah, exactly. It gave me life. Are you kidding me? For real.
How many times did you watch it? Because that's
I can't even count at this point. I can't even count because I've played on my phone
myself.
Yeah, watch it on my phone, watch it on the computer, iPad, wherever, man. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. And what's funny, really quick. I was just gonna say very quickly before we move on. The trailer doesn't even have to be watched because you give Chris Hemsworth's line, even out of context, that he delivers towards the end, or like one of the main lines that he delivers towards the end. Just someone literally not watching, not paying attention, but hearing that and the timing and the delivery and the comedic tone, it's already funny. That's happened to me already in the last couple of days where someone just heard that and started laughing because it was funny.
My friend Martian Cat, who's in the YouTube chat, said that the trailer was amazing, and she's not a fan of the Thor movies, but this one she's actually excited for. And I think that was pretty much the general reaction. Yeah.
This one looks good.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, Tim. You can follow up on the next Thor story.
It is Marvel and Disney's most watched trailer ever in 24 hours. Avengers Infinity War set video sees Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch in action.
She's making sign language signs.
Probably.
Finger puppets.
The New Warriors writer's room starts work.
All right.
The actress behind Valkyrie and Misty Knight expressed an interest in potential team-up movie. Get that Fearless Defenders going.
I would rather a Daughters of the Dragon first, but yes, let's do this.
Yeah, seriously, because there's already a Netflix, exactly, a Netflix natural team up right there.
Deadpool 2 cast Josh Brolin as Cable.
I don't know how to feel about this. What do you guys think?
I'm surprised a lot of people.
Yeah. So he's also Thanos, for those who don't know, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but pulling double duty.
This guy doesn't care. He's also Jonah Hex in DC, so he doesn't care about that. He's trying to get paid.
Yeah, but for every Deadpool, there was a Green Lantern. So just remember.
That's true. But ultimately, I don't know. I'm looking at it strictly from the point of view of whether or not this actor will do the character justice and bears at least a close enough resemblance that it won't be that we won't completely suspend disbelief, or that we will be able to suspend disbelief.
At least with Thanos, that's more motion capture CGI magic, whereas here he'll be a lot more involved.
We'll probably see a lot more of his face, right?
Some people are still on the Michael Shannon train, and yeah, I can see it. But here's what we got.
Yep. Lucasfilm has spoken with Del Toro about directing a Star Wars film.
Man, how dark is that going to be?
Yeah, really.
You get a Hellboy cameo. That'll make that'll make PCN_Dirt happy.
It'll probably be something like Darth Vader going to some alien planet that's like a giant opium den and having nightmares the entire time. Which, I mean, hey, I'd watch that movie. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, you would.
Star Wars Episode 9 will use old footage of Carrie Fisher.
Hey, by the way, Star Wars Celebration is going on as we speak. So
It is.
Every day is a
Good
Star
news.
Wars celebration.
Yeah.
Star Wars Forces of Destiny animated shorts and toys were revealed today. Going along with that celebration.
Okay.
The Batman's Joe Manganiello gets seal of approval from Deathstroke creator.
All right.
Manu Bennett's Deathstroke will return to Arrow despite actors' denials.
Okay.
Black Lightning and Fox's X-Men pilot likely getting series orders.
Sure.
All right.
Aquaman director welcomes Dolph Lundgren to the film.
If he dies, he dies. Is that going to be the acting we get?
Arrow, Wild
breaking.
Dog, and Black Canary are up to series regulars for season 6.
I've never cared about Wild Dog, so I don't know why, but okay.
He has a following, I guess.
Wait. Is it the guy who wears the hockey mask and is DC version of the Punisher?
Casey Jones alike, yes.
Yeah, I like that guy. He's most recently been in Cave Carson Has a Cybernetic Eye, which is actually a really good series too.
Okay, weird.
And Star Wars Rebels, Ahsoka Tano still set to appear again.
Yay!
Okay.
Of course, we don't know how, so we don't know. You know, she's been missing since her fight with Vader at the end of season 2, and there's been a lot of speculation and teasing whether she's dead or not. So
they'll find her body.
I don't know. Who knows?
Let's see. In comic news, Marvel Star Wars is getting a box set slipcase.
But it's the enhanced edition, so they went back and redrew a bunch of the panels.
Is that what
George
happened?
Lucas jokes, people. Come on, George Lucas jokes.
That said, it actually looks pretty good. I got the picture up of what the set's going to look like.
Jeez.
Here it is. Not bad.
Yeah. So cha-ching.
Probably costs more than a couple dollars.
I would think so.
Star Wars from a Certain Point of View anthology book celebrates 40 years of a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. So another book that's got a lot of writers attached to it. We're apparently doing this for free. And here's the list of names. Some you probably know, some you may not know, but it's a lot of jokers.
Comet Blitz launches its Android app. Marvel released statements on the controversial X-Men Gold artist who was eventually fired.
What a loser. Freaking guy. Freaking literally ruining our 3 out of 4 click of the week last week. And none of us saw it because it's so subtle and it's obviously so very targeted to a very specific audience. You know, namely some folks protesting in the capital of Indonesia, Jakarta. And it referenced, and it caught my eye was the obvious lettering and numbering reference to apparently a verse in the Quran on Colossus's T-shirt during the end baseball game scene, and it's clear as day. And I remember thinking, what team is that referencing? I'm right. One of the sports fans here, right? And what on earth is are they putting on this guy's T-shirt? Is that some random like minor league baseball team or something? What could that be? But not thinking too much of it, we just flipped right past it. But leave it to the intrepid people in Indo who figured out that what those references were for, and they took to social media and spread the word.
Well,
next thing you know, this dude is on the blacklist.
I have to give credit for Tim. He's the only one that had a click of the week last week that was not a hate crime.
Oh!
Shout out to me.
Way to pat yourself on the back there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
Thank you,
boy.
thank you.
All right. And then
That new
I was
Black
about to
Panther
say-
movie.
Oh, no, I was about to say, and then Dingbat over here, Ardian Syaf decides to dig the hole a little deeper today. Was that today, Dirt, that you were pointing out?
I
you sent a
saw it
message?
today. Actually, there's a
Might have
guy.
been
There's a guy on YouTube named Appbend, I think his name, Appabend. He's an Indonesian
Right.
guy who actually does a lot of videos talking about comics and video games and whatever. And so,
Right.
as an Indonesian, he was especially angry about
Yeah.
this
I'm
going
angry,
on.
damn it. I'm from America, but still Indo, you know?
But he's the one that had the link to it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly. I think he posted the video yesterday, so it could be from yesterday or the day before.
Right. And this dude decides to speak to a local, pulp paper or whatever in Indo and, talking smack about, what it is to offend people at Disney and Marvel. And it's way to dig yourself a deeper hole.
And I believe this was after dude tried to apologize. Well, Nate not tried to apologize.
Yeah, after he did try to.
basically,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt him. I wanted to get that out, get that over with.
No problem. That new Black Panther movie costume you've been seeing everywhere is actually just an action figure.
I
Say
want
what?
it. I want it.
Say what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that much different from the costume that was in Civil War?
I think the
More gold,
parts
it looks
were-
like.
Yeah, the gold parts. were
Yeah,
not
you're
there,
right.
but-
You're right.
Gold trim.
But
Okay.
I mean, there's been figures that has had this particular type of trim before it. But yeah, this is a good looking figure, and people were thinking that was the suit for his movie. So
Hellboy gets his
It's a
own Hell
repaint.
Water whiskey.
but anyway,
Yeah. I thought PCN _ Dirt would be ecstatic about this, but then I see what the flavor actually is.
yeah,
I am not a fan of cinnamon at all. Although my wife does like cinnamon, she'll try that Fireball
Mhm.
stuff every so often. So I may buy it just to have her drink it, and then I can just keep the empty bottle.
yeah. I don't know anybody who likes cinnamon liquor, but
There's a lot of people that
There's
do
somebody.
actually.
Yeah.
That was like a big deal when I was in college. That's a long time ago. It's like in the Stone Age.
I don't know anybody that watches The Voice, and yet that show is on every week with high ratings. So I mean, there's
Unfortunately,
always
I do, but
I know people. I know people that watch The Voice. I know people that watch The Voice.
my wife loves that show. I don't know.
Alrighty, moving on.
Yeah,
Let's see. 2017 Glyph Comics Award nominees were announced.
yeah. Congratulations to a bunch of people, including Black Panther writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, Black writers Kwanzi. I can't believe it. Forgive me for trying to pronounce your name, but the writer of Mask, Brandon Easton. Let's see, a bunch of people got some stuff on here. Brian Stelfreeze for Black Panther for Best Artist, and the list goes on and on. So, congrats. I'm not sure when those awards are going to happen, but
So Tom King has been tweeting some cryptic images and quotes, possibly into a New Gods series. There was one yesterday, which is on the screen now, and then there was another one this afternoon/evening. The one today had actually showed Orion's face. Mitch Gerard's artwork. So all we know is summer 2017.
It's not far from now, man.
Nope. And he also teased this on the December 2016 podcast with Workroom podcast with John Suntress.
Shout out to
Wait,
John Suntress.
Wait a minute.
I
That
did
is
listen
n-
to this.
What artwork did you
said-
think it was?
Mitch Gerard's.
No.
he's not talking about this one. He's talking about another one.
Well, there's one of
lost.
Orion's face, but I'm looking at it. It does not. It looks more like a Bill Sienkiewicz type of.
Let's see it. Can you put it up?
No, you missed the whole conversation earlier. The new Windows 10 update has killed my webcam software.
Oh, lame.
So I got to figure out how to get around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like someone from another Vertigo book, but I can't place.
I don't know. I think it looks like Gerard's to me, but
What is it? A Tom King tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a tweet from about 6 hours ago.
Is it right
I'll
here?
take a look.
Yep, that's the one.
Oh, okay. I have no idea who drew that. That's weird looking.
Gerard,
No offense to the artist. That's kind of weird looking, yo. I'm tired, man. It's a long day.
New Star Wars action figures address Where's Rey controversy.
No Hera though, but got everybody else.
Yep.
And this was also along with that earlier article about the Force of Destiny animated series or animated short, whatever.
Greg Rucka is leaving Wonder Woman with issue 25.
Starting to kick in, isn't it?
And Liam Sharp announced he is leaving Wonder Woman, but not DC Comics. It was announced that the DC superhero girls writer Shay Fontana is going to be the new writer, with Mirko and Dolfo as the artists.
Okay.
Okay.
Ding.
Injustice 2 introduces and explains power building gear system. Right there.
So
there was a new Injustice 2 trailer for.
It's going to have gear, so I mean, it's going to have rarity to it. Sounds like. So, yeah.
There's a new Injustice 2 trailer for Scarecrow. Bloodshot celebrates 25 years of violence with Bloodshot's Day Off.
Mom and Dad leaves the car.
Today again was the Star Wars Celebration weekend kickoff with the 40th anniversary panel, and there's new toys apparently. Because of course it's gotta make money.
Of course, there's new toys. I mean, that's why they make new movies. Come on.
Of course. There's a bit of news here. Did I miss it earlier? The rumor that was online about a certain tech company and a certain entertainment company that owns a certain comic book company.
Apple buying Disney.
Yeah. I don't know if that was on the list and I just missed it, or we scrolled past it.
It's not on the list.
Because I think it broke today. And when I read that and saw that, through a little birdie, I kind of heard that, these rumblings are not just based on fantasy. So, it's take that for what it is. It's kind of interesting that a tech company with that much cash on hand would be able to put together an offer to buy out pretty much the world's biggest entertainment company.
I actually am unsurprised by it, because do it because you can, and who else would do something like that but Apple?
Right.
Especially if it's profitable.
True enough. It's just, anytime you start thinking about the implications of having all of that under one roof, that's what I think bothers most people. Without having, there's less independence, there's less, down the road, there's a very strong chance of less choice. So,
well, for some people, that's the only choice, but those people are.
That's true.
A lot of places, I'm looking at places like The Street and Motley Fool, and they all seem to think that it's just somebody is
pulling legs.
Well, just thinking out loud that it's not.
Right. Like what if?
They value it as an option greater than 0%.
Mm-hmm.
But greater than 0%. Well, okay, so it could be 1% viable. It could be 5% viable. And
I feel like it's a rumor that's come up before for some reason.
Yeah, actually, according to The Street, they say conversations about Apple buying Disney go back as far as 2006.
Interesting.
Oh, and by the way, real quick, we probably need to push this along because he's something. Oh shoot, I can't find it. Marshall Cat in the chat says Star Wars every day. I'm with you guys, and there was a comment from Matt Wang that I was going to say something about, but I can't find it. So, yeah.
What about the Black Panther figure?
Yeah, that's what it was.
It
probably is.
Yeah, it's a clear reference to gold trim.
Because that
clear
definitely
reference
wasn't
to the Teixeira and Chris Priest run.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's definitely a shout out to that design.
Yeah.
One other news I remember seeing today was there's going to be a animated adaptation of Watchmen.
Okay.
I feel like that's been done.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know, but maybe not.
Didn't they do a motion comic of the entire?
Yeah, there was a motion something or
did.
another, but this is going to be comic or animated.
Apparently, TriStar has hired, I don't know who this guy is, Fede Alvarez, to direct a film that will be set in the same universe as Jim Henson's Labyrinth. They say it will not be a remake, but it will be set in the same universe years later.
Okay.
So maybe not a direct sequel.
Hey, did you guys pull any of the hip hop covers this week?
No, because the only one I wanted that my shop didn't have.
Which one was that?
The Black Panther and the Crew.
I was about to say apologies for the paper bag rustling because I had to get my hip hop covers from Midtown Comics this week. So believe it or not, they actually had a second printing of America #1, and they did another hip hop cover based off of Hamilton again. They called it the America second printing. So I picked that up. It was what? The Black Panther and the Crew?
Yeah.
Is this another rehash of the Fugees?
I believe it is, yeah.
So it's the second time they're using the same cover?
Or it could be whatever that supergroup core supergroup was with Nas and
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, not the oh man, now it's on the it was on the tip of my tongue for a half second.
And it was like Nas, Dre, and I can't remember who the
well, I mean the I was about to say
the firm.
Yeah, that's it. The firm. I was about to say it's not the commission because that was big and
right.
it's the firm.
Yeah, and I think that's a take off the firm.
That's it. All right. I also picked up the Weapon X hip hop cover. Not sure what this is referencing. And last but not least, the X-Men blue hip hop cover.
Oh wait, that might have been Brand Nubian, but I'm not sure.
Here?
Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with the cover. And
yeah, it is
X-Men
Brand Nubian One
also.
for All.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
For me.
There you go.
Thank you, Google.
Ha ha. Yeah, so I picked up the 4 hip hop covers that came out this week. Cool. All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up with our last ad read of the night.
Yep.
So, as always, when I'm in a rush, I will default to the quickest ad read that we have in our arsenal. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, or apparel. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today. Nice. All right, let's wrap it up.
Follow us on our individual Twitter accounts. I'm at TimDOGG98 and at CBCron. The man with sound effects tonight was at RowdyCat and at News Nerds Needs.
Hi, Mom.
And on Instagram on at CBCaps.
Yep.
Agent 70 is at Agent_70. And that is on Twitter and Instagram, right?
Yep.
And Doug is at PCN_dirt on Twitter, and go to his website, popculturenetwork.com.
I'm just a shell of my former self.
Ah.
I'm mad that we can't even see your, like when you speak, that at least on my side, it doesn't even show your avatar with the
it doesn't
mask on.
Yeah.
I at least see the avatar. If I don't click on it, I see him in the row, but if I click on it, it goes to black. Doesn't show.
You know, it's probably for the best in the long run that my face is as far away from eyeballs as can possibly be.
It's what you say now.
Of course he says this exactly. Of course he says this after we finally, after years and years, become friends on the Facebook.
The Facebook.
I'm deleting my Facebook right now.
So have fun this weekend. Happy Easter if you celebrate.
Happy Easter.
If you're going to see Fast and the Furious,
I call it
have fun with that.
Yes, Fast and Furious weekend.
Yeah. Yo, can I tell you real quick? I got an invite to the premiere, the world premiere in Manhattan, and you know where the stupid email went? To my spam box. I was like, what?
That's telling.
Killing me,
That's
yo.
fail.
Actually, no, it didn't go to my. It didn't go to spam. It went to promotions. Thank you, Gmail.
Oh yeah, I turned those things off. Yeah, I got rid of those.
Yeah, I am now working my way through the Fast and Furious franchise, and I am now running into Tokyo Drift, which is going to be my next movie.
Good luck with that.
Your time.
Yeah, I've seen it before. I don't know. So what?
I said you're taking your time. I see.
Yeah, well, I did 2 yesterday, and then my wife wanted to see Tokyo Drift, but so we didn't watch it last night, and I'm like, oh, no. And I didn't watch it without her, so.
Cool. So yeah, I'll let you know next week how I thought of the film.
Yeah,
And
I'll do my best to try to watch it before then.
We are the Comic Book Chronicles, and we are signing off.
Peace.
Yeah.